Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Now today I wanted to do a video talking about how and why OCD will attack your values. Now I'm sorry to break this news to you, but OCD does not give a shit about your values. It does not give less of a shit about what you care about. And that is exactly how it operates. That's exactly why it latches to what it does. Okay, it's going to go after the things that you care about. If it didn't, you would not care and it would not affect you. But because it really gets in on taboo related stuff and maybe things that you hold very, very dearly, it's going to try and ruin that, and it's going to really get in and play a part in your life. Of course, that's what it does. Okay, so understanding that and having knowledge of how OCD operates and how it works is very, very important. Okay, now it's okay knowing that, but you're going to ask, okay, Sam, how do I overcome that? How do I stop, in a way, OCD latching to my values? Well, you can't just stop it latching to your values. You have to change beliefs around that. Okay, if you're holding very rigidly the concepts of good and bad people, for example, if you're saying things like, I must never have done wrong in the past, I must have never acted immorally, I must have never acted badly, incorrectly, incompetently, then of course OCD is going to be scanning relevant false memories in the past, where it's going to convince you you've done something wrong. Okay, and you'll be replaying, analysing the past, convinced you're going to be going to jail for the rest of your life. Okay, that's how I felt, that's how many people felt with relevant false memory OCD. It's always looking for that thing that you cannot accept, that one step too far. That's what it does. If it went after things that you could go, yeah, I could deal with that, then it wouldn't latch, would it? Because you wouldn't have that latching power. It wouldn't have that oomph that it hits you with, which it currently does now. Okay, so if you're holding very rigidly to the good and bad people concept, it's going to go after the taboo related themes, the guilt related themes, where if you've done this, if you have this intrusive thought about that person, if you have this intrusive thought about that theme, then your life is ruined. Then you are no good. Then nothing else matters in life. What's the point? That's exactly what it's looking to do. It's trying to ruin the now, the future, and also scanning the past for something that means the future is now ruined or a waste of time. Oh, you did this 10 years ago, you have no future. You're going to spend the rest of your life in jail. What's the point? What's the point of focusing on your career? You've done this 15 years ago, your life is now over. That is what it's going to go after, okay? Whatever you hold really, really dearly, now of course we're human, we're going to hold things dearly, but if we're very rigid and black and white about how our values are and our values must not be attacked and I must live by my values, then OCD will run riot. It's going to cause absolute carnage. It's going to target exactly that. And that's not to say that you can't hold very strong desires and have, look, I want to do well, I want to perform correctly, I don't want to do wrong. Of course, that's a very, very valid desire to have, and we strive for that, of course we do. However, when you're saying things like, if I've acted wrongly, if I've done that, if I do this in the future, then my life is over, I cannot possibly live with that. I cannot live with myself, I cannot live with the guilt, I could not live with the consequences of that. That's exactly why OCD is going to go after that. Now, that logic makes total sense, doesn't it? That people are very reluctant to change. And this is a thing, because people get an insight into what's bothering them but do not do a damn thing to change, as Albert Ellis says. All right, and that is the most frustrating thing. And that's not to say lose all your values altogether, but it's how rigidly you hold them. That is exactly why OCD has got that firm grip, that very tight latching power that it has on you. Like, it doesn't give you any breathing space, no time to be let off the hook. Nope, you've done this. Any distraction. When I was really caught up with the good and bad concept, the chronic guilt 24/7, it felt like as soon as I woke up in the morning, boom, chronic guilt from the minute I opened my eyes. And it was like living through life through a filter of guilt, anxiety, panic, shame, depression. I just felt like I wasn't really there. Although I may have been somewhere physically, mentally, I was 100 million miles away. And that was because I spent so much time ruminating about the past, analysing, replaying, trying to get some sort of certainty in my head to prove that I was a good person or to prove that I could never ever be a bad person. Okay? Now you can break down that concept with the help of the books on our reading list. The Good and bad people. So if you're saying, I must not be a bad person, well, that doesn't exist. There is no bad people. There are people that do bad things, lots of bad things, horrendous things, in fact. But they're never a horrendous person. Because what that would mean is that they could only ever act immorally, horrendously, badly. Well, that's not true, as we know. And it's the same as someone who's good, seen as a good person. Does that mean they can never act badly? Of course it doesn't. Okay, so that can be disproven quite quickly. But remember, that takes time to believe. It's not something that you're going to suddenly apply overnight. Okay, I tried that many times. I tried to force acceptance. I tried to force breaking down the concept of good and bad people. It did not work. So if this video is very windy, by the way. Not much I can do about that, though, to be fair, but sometimes it is very windy. I've got to talk a bit loud, I've got to shout. If anyone walks past, it's a great exposure, by the way. Who's this random guy walking his dog, shouting at his phone? Great shame attack. But yeah, so it's going to take a little while to apply that unconditional self-acceptance around good and bad. Okay, so even if you did something bad, even if you had unlikable, unfavourable traits, even if your worst case scenario was true, okay, it's going to take a little while to apply the unconditional acceptance to that. A good exercise for that is looking at someone who has done something bad, who has done something wrong, and apply unconditional other acceptance. Remember, you're not trying to agree, you're not trying to justify, you're not trying to support or like or want or agree with what they've done. Of course not, okay? You can strongly disagree with an act, strongly condemn an act, but as soon as we write the person off, as soon as we say the person is totally bad, that is exactly when we go wrong. Okay, because that is when chronic guilt plays a part, that's when anxiety, shame, depression, anger, rage, pity, the list goes on. Okay, so then we can start applying that to ourselves, that even if you watching this video right there have done wrong, have done bad, have acted immorally, yes, you can strongly regret what you have done. You can look to learn from what you have done, learn from the mistake, learn from the weakness, learn from the bad act, okay? But as soon as you write yourself off, that is exactly when OCD is going to play a huge part, and the chronic guilt will be jacked up 24/7. The chronic guilt is like guilt on steroids, where everything you do, when I was really bad with chronic guilt 24/7, any distraction was very short, very temporary, if I got some sort of relief. Because it would, like, let's say for example I used to drink alcohol and I might numb the feeling, for example, I might numb the feeling of guilt, but then the next day it would be 10 times worse. Okay, the hangover and the beer fear, as you call it, looking back, oh my god, what have I done? What have I said a thought out loud? What have I confessed everything? Things like that, and I'm sure you can relate to watching this video. Alright? So it's very important to be aware and understand and know that OCD does not give a shit about your values. Because people say, yeah, but Sam, why does it have to latch to that? Fuck's sake, could it be anything else? Why does it latch to that? And I go, that is exactly why it latches to it, because of that current belief. Please don't latch to that, OCD. That is like getting a red flag out and a ball's over there and it just runs it. That's exactly what it's like doing, because you are giving OCD the direction. You're saying, go on then, I don't want you to latch to this, so what it's going to do is going to latch to exactly that. Okay, and that's not to say you're going to be fearless of everything, right? As you come on this journey, you're going to be scared of stuff. That's exactly why you found this page, because if you weren't scared of anything, then OCD is not going to have that power. But remember, when you first come on this journey, your beliefs are going to be very rigid, very black and white. You're going to have the conditional acceptance. You're going to have the rating good and bad people, okay? So all OCD is showing is how irrational you're being, okay? And OCD is something that can be broken down as over time we're going to look at your core fears, look at your irrational beliefs, and apply the unconditional acceptance over time. I wouldn't have been able to recover from OCD without unconditional acceptance. It's as simple as that, because it has no power. It's not anything in the past that it could latch to does not disrupt my inner peace today. Anything in the future, anything in the now, any new theme, any new fear, any new thought, it doesn't have that power because of the beliefs are in shape. Okay, I don't give it that power. That's not to say OCD is completely gone. You can't just cure OCD, it doesn't just go, okay? But because they're the beliefs, there is no irrational beliefs for it to latch to. Because OCD takes orders from beliefs. as you know, and as we talk about a lot on this channel, okay? If you look at the thoughts, for example, look at intrusive thoughts that you're having and really bother you, it's the content of the thought. It's because you're terrified of the worst case scenario. You're terrified of that thought being real. Now, I could accept my worst case scenario, although not like it, and that's exactly why OCD has no power, okay? It could find anything in the past, any false memory, any real event in the past, and it knows I have the unconditional acceptance and I've disputed irrational beliefs. So no matter what it latches to, it will not disrupt how I feel today. There'll be no change of how I feel today, okay? But it doesn't even look to scan the past. You know, this is me talking for someone who spent the last 10 years, last 5 years, scanning the past 24/7, looking for something, why you're going to jail, why your life's written off, why there's no point living, why it's all a waste of time, okay? So I've lived that. I've lived and breathed that, all right? So today, my brain is not scanning all the time. There's nothing for it to latch to, okay? And that's not from a boasting point of view. It's saying that if that's due to belief work. That's over time due to belief work, behavioural change, perspective change, applying gratitude and seeing things in a much different light and dropping the very rigid hold I had on my values. I must never have done wrong. That would be the worst thing ever. How could I ever live with myself? Well, that kind of thinking is when OCD is going to run riot and cause chaos. It's important to remember that, okay? We've got to be very honest of where we're going wrong. We've got to look at ourselves in the mirror and go, right, why is OCD latched to that? It's because of my beliefs. It's because of my behaviours. It's because of my compulsions. It's because I'm avoiding that, okay? We've got to be very honest and see where we're going wrong. Remember the Albert Ellis quote. People get an insight into what's bothering them, but don't do a damn thing to change, okay? And that is the biggest thing that holds people back. People can see where they're going wrong. OCD is a huge blessing in disguise because it's telling you where you are very irrational. What beliefs you hold are very, very black and white, rigid and irrational. It's showing you that. It's now just down to you to change that. And OCD has no latching power once those beliefs have been changed. Okay? If you have liked this video, please leave a like. I hope it hasn't been too windy and I haven't fallen over yet, which is amazing. Because one of these walking videos, I'm going to fall over and I haven't lost my dog, which is the main thing. If you're interested in our one-to-one customised sessions, they're very good because they look at your core fears, your irrational beliefs, your values that is attacking and looking to be less rigid with them and taking the power away from OCD. Please email phil@ocdrecovery.com or use the WhatsApp link in the description.